I did a thing. I don't know if it's a good thing, but it's a thing. I think if you've clicked on this video, you probably know what this is. Chinese skid steer. Let me just first get this out of the way. I'm well aware it's not a Kubota, it's not a John Deere, it's not a Toro Dingo, it's not a Bobcat, it's not any of these other major brands. It's made in China. And like most things in life, you get what you pay for. So, and actually this is, so just to clarify, this is just an initial review, a very, very initial. When I mean initial review, I don't know that I have 20 minutes of operating time on this. I have about 500 feet of operating time on this from my trailer to where you see it right now. But that was on purpose, because I'm gonna give you sort of the what I like, what I thought, why did I even buy this, why is it here? But then I thought it would be fun as we go along, let's figure out what kind of problems this thing's gonna give me, because let's face it, guys, when you pay what you pay for this, you know you're gonna have problems. Okay, so I've already put my wrench to this, and I've operated it less than 10 minutes. And it's because when I pulled this control here, and you hit the down joystick, you would anticipate the bucket to go down. But it did the opposite, it went up. And then as you can imagine, as you pulled back, expecting it to go up, it went down. And then same thing with the dump and curl. So I've already, I guess that's satisfying my own OCD, but I've already gone ahead and switched those hydraulic lines, and that was easy, and it self-bled, and it did all the things it was supposed to. Now, I promised myself I wasn't going to spend a lot of time wrenching on this first, because I wanted to do that very, very initial, no influence whatsoever review. And when I took my wrench to loosen the nuts for the hydraulic lines, I quickly realized just how loose they were. It didn't inspire confidence. So I have done at least that much wrenching, where I've gone around and I've checked every single hydraulic line and torqued them just to make sure that they were tight and I wouldn't have a leak. I will also tell you I've put a little bit of gas in this because there's some fear, I'm assuming from some type of vapor lock, that if you run these out of gas, they're pretty difficult to get started. I'm thinking it's only a matter of time until I do that. This one does not have an aftermarket fuel pump with the gas tank on the bottom that would lift the fuel up. So I see that coming. I can also tell you, in trying to put gas in it, I'm thinking it doesn't have a vent, because the only way I could get gas to go in it was it would burp itself down.
Turns out it was just a poorly designed filter in the filler neck.
It doesn't have a full tank, or at least if the gauge is working correctly, it doesn't have a full tank. But here we are. But I brought up the fuel because as I was looking down at the gas cap, and I'll show you this here in a minute, I noticed that there was a nut sitting on the bottom floorboard, which again, doesn't exactly inspire confidence, because, well, was it left over at the factory, or has something already vibrated loose? It does appear to be a nylon nut, so I don't think it's vibrated loose, because it's obviously designed not to. So it was either not screwed on at all, or again, just left over from the factory. So I am gonna pull this back cover off at some point and go through this whole thing, every bolt, every nut, and check everything the best I can, and give this Chinese skid steer the best chance to perform. So as far as ergonomics go, you know, what can I say about it? It's, I think it's about what I was expecting. Being that this is a 3-pump system, I have a pump designated to the tracks. So I have a left track, right track, and then I have a pump designated to the bucket. So up, down, curl, dump. And then I have a third pump, this was cool. This is why I wanted it. A third pump that's designated just to the auxiliary. So if I decide to run a stump grinder or a brush cutter, and I'm obviously putting power to that, I'm not gonna rob power from one of my tracks. So I should still be able to pivot and move. Again, this is an initial review. So this is comfortable, this is fine. I mean, you're gonna put it in gear, forward, backwards, and lock it and be done. That's not a problem. I can tell you already, this is a problem. I'll bring you over here in a second, but the the ergonomics of this, they're too far apart. I mean, I'm a normal sized hand here, and I can't really grab them and move them left, right with control and hold on. So I think my initial plan would be to just pull these rods out and probably just bend them over a little bit. I think if I can just squeeze them closer together, then I would actually be able to put them in my palm, and then I would have better rocking control. Now, over the long run, love to put a joystick on this. Love to put a joystick control. So, well, let's just say I had to convince my wife to even let me get this far. So one thing at a time, okay? So, but we're gonna see if we can figure out if we can make this work first, because, well, what's the fun in just jumping into the good stuff? And so, and again, keep this in mind here. I'm not a commercial user. In fact, I bought this for some of what you can see in the background. I'm in Central Florida, and that is a lake, very, very high lake, that is flooded from Hurricane Milton still after, well, what's today? Today is December 28th, so whenever you're watching this, December 28th, 2024. So Hurricane Milton hit 10 weeks ago. That lake came up vertically 37 inches. It's only gone back down 5 inches. I've got about 2 acres out there in that lake. I hope to get back one day. So there'll be another video that I'll link to this, that you can go back and we actually do a walkthrough of our property, and we talk about all the things that has happened over the last 2 years from Hurricane Ian, Nicole, and now most recently Milton, and all the trouble it's caused us, and what really also led to the purchase of this, where I think it can help, again, in a residential application. We're gonna do some fun things with this too, like we have four-wheelers and we're gonna wanna build some four-wheeler jumps. So we're gonna use that for some play as well as work. Okay, for our first size comparison, let's bring in something I think all of you will recognize, which is my Honda Rancher. And this is a factory. Noah, why don't you help me out here? Dad's being a little brave. He's gonna use this helper. Come on, buddy, pull it in. Nice and easy. Take it right up to the bucket. That's it. Good job, bud. A little more, a little more, a little more. Whoa, Nelly. Okay, you can shut it off. Just turn the key off, that's okay. Nice job, buddy. Okay, this was interesting to me. Again, just a factory Honda Rancher. Those are 25-inch tires, so there's no illusion there. There's nothing you're missing. Noah, you want to stand on the back of this? You want to give him some more size comparison? Noah's 4 years old. All of, what you got, 3 feet tall, bud?
Yeah.
Big muscles? Big muscles. So this will give you a little bit of scale. I think we all know that this, for a residential application, this thing has got plenty of lifting power. Up, down, move rocks, pallets with, call it mild loads on it, okay? We're not gonna do a pallet full of block or pavers or something like that, but I've done everything in this property with my 2 bare hands. So I'm thrilled about this, and I know exactly what I got here in terms of non-commercial, slow, but helpful residential. And oh, by the way, that's one of my other helpers right there. So you kind of see the muscle that is. But this, I think, gives you some scale that would help you understand this machine. Overall footprint of the machine and how that hurts it or helps it is to be determined, and maybe for your application, depending on what you're trying to get in. We have some 4-wheeler trails here on the property that something this small is going to be fantastic to get in there and do cleanup. At the same time, if I were to try to bring in 10 truckloads of dirt to try to regrade some of this, it's gonna take me a while. I guess I've got nothing but time because the water's not leaving and this is my property, but this may not be the machine. And I think there's a J Bros is a YouTube channel I've been watching a little bit, that he has one of these machines, and he talked about his bucket and upsizing the bucket and how that just was a game changer for this. And I could see that already because these factory buckets are tiny. And I think they have plenty of lifting power to go to probably a wider and deeper bucket and make them work better for you. So I can tell you, I'm gonna give this sort of an off the factory review. So I'm going to use this bucket initially, but I'm gonna trust those who've already done this and say, I probably should find a bigger bucket. So I'm gonna be looking for that as well. I'd also like to get a grappler. I think that's gonna be really good in my application. If you watch some of my other videos, you're gonna see we got a lot of down trees, we got a lot of up trees that just, well, they do what God designed them to do. They grow and the branches break and fall, and we stack them and we load them out of here in the dump trailer, and this will be a helpful tool for that. And then of course a set of pallet forks. I have several tree stumps that need to be ground here from Hurricane Milton. So some of those stumps came out because they were already out, and others are still in the ground and will need to do work. So I think like a tree stump grinder, that's nothing I want to pay for this. I just, again, residential application. I'd like to rent one, use the machine, see how it does, give you guys a sense of what this thing is capable with that auxiliary hookup, with that continuous flow there through that. Kind of same thing with a brush cutter. I got a big zero turn, and the type of yard I have, I just use my zero turn. It's a nice machine. It does everything I need it to do, and honestly, my yard's a lot smaller now in terms of mowing, so I wouldn't need anything like that. So, but we'll rent one of those at some point, because I actually have a couple other properties where I think I can benefit with this machine and that brush cutter. So we'll get a chance to see some of that here too. But immediately, my goals would be to get a larger bucket, set of forks, and a grappler. I think as far as home front goes and homesteading here, probably cover everything I need to. There is a quick ballast test that we can try here. I was watching Our Life in the Trees, a gentleman who has two of these skid steers. One is a Durette, which I think is a little bit better model, but then he just purchased an EG360. And I think he's a beloved dad body just like mine, but with maybe an extra muffin or two.
No! I can say that, right? No, you can't say that. You cannot say that. You cannot say that.
If you're watching this by chance, please, you seem like a guy who likes a couple of jokes. I do too. So, but he was 235 pounds. I'm 215, so I'm missing 20 pounds. But I got a 30-pound helper here if this doesn't go the same way. So he basically set his EG360 up similar to how I have it here. He stood on it and it rocked forward. Now that's obviously with no counterbalance. Well, we're gonna try to do the same thing. Let's see what happens. And I'm 215 pounds. Okay, well that already is a pretty good start. And I can bounce it and it wants to fall that way. So that's already better. Hey Noah, why don't you come on over here with me and let's get this up to about 245 pounds. Jump on there, buddy. Okay. All right, you ready? Hold my hand. 1, 2, 3, bounce. Bounce. Well, all right. That's pretty good. Okay, ready? Jump off. Nice. So the last thing to talk about here is ballast. We all know these things need ballast. So this was actually a plate that I don't see on a lot of these Chinese skid steers. And how much weight does this provide? I don't know. It would be good for a gym bro to do curls, okay? But we all know that where it's located and what it is, it's not enough for ballast. But what it does provide is a great place for me to anchor some suitcase weights. So I'm thinking that I'm going to probably create a bracket that comes off of here. I can weld it to here, bring it around and weld it to here, so it'll have two points of connection to where I could hang a couple of 50-pound suitcase weights on each side. There seems to be a lot of negativity about these things not having ballast from the factory. I don't know, I feel a little different about that. Not that they shouldn't have it, they should, that would be great. But you could go down to Kubota right now and buy a tractor, and you probably would need to have some sort of ballast, whether that's the form of an implement in the back or buying suitcase weights to hang on the front, whatever it is, you're probably gonna need to buy something extra to create that ballast. So that didn't bother me, but what I do like with this plate is I'll have the opportunity to do that. So we're gonna run it like this, as is, and need to, so that we get a sense of how it feels, how it lifts, how it balances. And then we'll do another video later when we add the ballast. I pretty much guarantee I'm gonna be doing that because I do wanna go to a larger bucket, and I think I know enough that once I get that larger bucket, I'm gonna be going for a ride if I don't get some extra weight back here. Or this dad bod, it's gonna have to get a little bit more dad bod. I don't think my wife will like that.